Welcome back to CBMIC Backstage TV. I'm joined today by Keith Mullins. How you doing, Keith?
Hey,
Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
We'll dive right in. You are one of the hardest working musicians from Cape Breton that I know, and probably one of the hardest working musicians in Canada. You do, I don't know, somewhere between 250, 300 shows a year, on top of all the other things that you're involved with. How do you even manage all that?
I just try and keep on working. That's all. I think I'm just driven as a person. I've got kids too, and I want to, provide, and I just want to stay busy and just keep it going. So if I see holes in my schedule, I try and fill them in. Like the way that I've been able to do it is because I'm adaptable. I do a lot of different things. So whether it's most of my shows these days are me playing my songs for people, but I also do sessions for people, studio stuff. I do, I work with schools a lot, as you know, and just between it all, I just juggle it all, and it just keeps me going.
Wow, it's incredible.
Thanks.
Because I'm in touch with a lot of musicians, and just that level of activity is quite impressive for sure.
Right, I'm willing to do anything as well.
Yeah.
I don't really, some musicians won't play certain places, and I like get them singing, do whatever. I'll play covers, I'll play originals, I like to serve people.
So more recently, what's been going on? What have you been doing?
Well, I found that I had a really nice, sustainable. I probably couldn't do it I probably couldn't play 250 shows a year for the rest of my life, but I had a nice, good job. It pays well in the sense that I don't have any expenses when I'm at home, and I can play 6-7 nights a week in for tourists and for, on regular weekly gigs, and then do my schools in the winter, and then play on the weekends, do house concerts. I do one tour across Canada every November for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I found that I could do that for the rest of my life, and a lot of my tours I'll do house concerts just for the sheer fact that they pay.
Yeah,
They pay well, and
it's been
people
a great
buy
ad.
and people buy CDs, and they buy they buy merch, and so I would make 15 times the amount that I would make in a bar and that's what I make at a house concert. You know
That's
what I mean?
remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And so I could do that, but recently I had I did that for a few years, for like 3 years. I've been doing that where I was like playing almost every night, and then in the winter I do schools, play in the days, and then recently I had some big things happen in my life, some big changes, and so it caused me to reassess and rethink and reinvent who I am and what I do, and so I invested in going to Europe. I spent some time in Amsterdam and Groningen. I was playing over there at it's a festival called Eurosonic, where it's all talent buyers from across Europe, and I think I got some love from some different places in Europe. So I got some shows there, I think, and so I did that, and that was really good for me, and I was hanging out with a bunch of hip hop guys down there, and it just worked really well. I'll probably go back to that. It's like a Canadian embassy kind of showcase, and so that's one thing I did. And another thing I'm doing is I'm writing for people. I think that I'm really strong at letting go of my ego and going as an artist, and like you could play me a couple of songs, and I'd be like, I think that you need one of these songs, or I think that you could be like, I like helping people guide people in the direction that I feel that they're already going based on my experience in music.
Yeah.
And so I went to Toronto just last week, and my publisher, who's Sound of Pop Publishing, Tim Harvey, he hooked me up with different songwriters every day, and I wrote 1 or 2 songs a day with other people with pub deals and other people with label deals, and and I had got some cuts on people's records, and it just feels really. I felt like I was doing what I was meant to be doing in my life.
How many albums have you
I don't
got
even
now?
know anymore. If you count, like, I've done records for fundraisers and for went up north and wrote 10 songs in 10 days with 10 schools, and they bought 5,000 copies, and the kids sold them, and they raised money
That's wonderful.
for gym programs and whatever they wanted to,
Yeah.
music programs and stuff. And then I've raised well over 50 grand for different organizations with Basin View, just with Basin View School
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
And we've done a couple of records, and then I have 5 of my own,
Wow.
and that's just in the past 12 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and then in that process, you're not only are you performing and making your career, but when you talk about things like that, the number of lives that you're touching, which is what you do for a living, that's pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, I've got another one coming up with veterans. So in October, this guy, he's from I think he's from Scotchtown, St. Fabian Henry.
Yeah.
He's his passion is healing for veterans.
Wonderful.
And he has found the money to for me. I've got Matt Anderson on board, Dave Gunning, a few others, Chris Kirby.
Yes.
And we're gonna write songs with veterans.
Nice.
And so veterans, basically, the idea has to have a positive message.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans can tell their stories in a song. So
Oh.
like when the veterans, like one veteran was saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be this, but one veteran was saying, like, he's like, when I came home from my first tour of duty, he's like, I had more people like say, what's it like over there?
Mm.
Did you kill anybody? Did you, and they try and get, personal. He's like, and I'm so tired of trying to relay, my experience,
Right.
and he's going. Meanwhile, he's going through PTSD, and
Right.
and he's losing his buddies. The suicide rates are crazy.
Yeah.
They know that they can't hide behind a bottle at the Legion for the rest of their life.
Mm.
Which is what sometimes they did in
Yeah.
the past. But he's like, I love the idea of going, you want my story? Push play, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're kind of going in there to do. is
So they
like,
bring the content to you guys.
They bring the content.
and
We
you're
make them
gonna
into a
translate
song
it.
together.
That's wonderful.
Exactly. And so we'll do I think 10 or 12 of those,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll record it live video. I'll bring in a band, and we'll invite a bunch of people over, and we'll put on a live concert. And I've got it all planned out, and I can't wait to do it. It's
No,
going to be
sounds-
like really meaningful and like really like positive and
Well, it sounds like a wonderful project.
yeah. I mean these guys they've gone through crazy amounts of trauma, and like they need direction,
Mhm.
and I don't a lot of them struggle, with the prescriptions, and then different bodily functions that they need to work and really want to work,
Right.
don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And and so this guy Fabian, he's developed this cannabis program to treat people for trauma, and it's he says it's not a solution, it's a band-aid,
Right.
and what it gives them is time.
Right. So a
Time for
bridge to
therapy,
something.
time for direction,
Mhm.
reflection, all these different things that need to happen in order for people to get over their trauma.
Yeah.
And this record being the first one, we're talking about doing a lot more of healing.
That's wonderful. We talked a little bit about kids working with youth, and you do a lot of that. You're in schools all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How did that become a component of what you do?
I originally, well, as you know, I'm a drummer, and I had a successful career as a drummer, toured the world with different bands
Mhm.
from Cape Breton. Got a taste of, when Cape Breton music was
Mhm.
huge around the world.
Yeah.
And when I actually started this show with Darren Gallup
Mhm.
from Mercado, who just sold Mercado, and we started playing drums in schools.
Yes.
And I had some studies in Cuba and West Africa, and so we started taking drums in schools. We were like, kids they love drums. Well, I first had a show. It was in St. John, New Brunswick,
Mhm.
and I was playing with a band called Isaac and Blewett. This is like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And we were playing the St. John High School. They have a beautiful theater in there. And I said, hey, we're playing for kids. Like, why don't I bring like 4 or 5 drums?
Mhm.
And you'll start playing. I'm going to go to the audience. And I'm going to pick out 5 kids
Mhm.
to come on stage with us and play. They're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
So we did it. And then like a month later, I got 300 letters in
Whoa.
the mail of kids saying, I wanted to be the one that was picked.
That's crazy.
Like huge stack of letters from kids at the
Yeah.
school. And so I was coming back. I was playing with Bruce Guthrow.
Mhm.
We were opening up for Kenny Rogers. That's another story
Wow.
in itself, which
Yeah.
was amazing. So we're opening up for Kenny Rogers and in St. John, New Brunswick. And I called the school
Mhm.
and I said, can I speak to Mrs. whatever, I forget her name, and I said, I'm coming in because I'm playing drums with Bruce Guthrow and for Kenny Rogers in a couple of weeks. I was thinking maybe I'd just fill the car full of my drums. I got all these drums from all over the world, and I'll come in and play for the kids just for free. It's, just have some fun.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, we would love that. So the whole school came down, and then it developed into I figured out a way to teach kids how to write a song in an hour, as you experienced with the YMCA program
Yes,
that
absolutely.
we did.
Yeah.
I kind of figured out a process there, and I've done maybe 100 or 200 of those.
Mhm.
And they always seem to work. It always seems to happen, and I love it.
Where do people find info about Keith Mullins?
KeithMullins.ca. My cell phone is on there. Everything, yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you have tons of streaming access and.
Yep, Spotify, iTunes, Apple. If you want to email me, if you want me to send you a CD,
Yeah.
I'm happy to sign it, whatever you want. Yeah.
All the high-paying outlets.
Uh-huh. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. You're going to share a tune with us?
Yeah. This one is called The Sound.
Yeah.
It's a tune that I wrote about Alexander Graham Bell.
Well, thanks so much. I'm going to go to a break here, but when we come back, we'll hear that tune.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm Dwayne from CBMIC Backstage TV. A great interview with Keith Mullins. Check him out online, as he said. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, you're going to get to hear that tune. Take care.
2, 3.
Listening for your frequency. Testing, 1, 2, 3. You're making something right. You need to make mistakes. When that kite falls, the heart breaks. Listen to the sound ringing through the air. It's keeping me up, getting there. I can hear the sound. It's calling me on the banks of Banbray. Some walk through their lives with eyes closed. It's so easy to take the open road. So leave the beaten track occasionally. Go into the woods and then listen to the sound ringing through the air. It's keeping me up, getting there. I can hear the sound. It's calling me on the banks of Banbray. Because in my calculations I have found that there is mystery all the sound ringing through the air. It's keeping me up, getting there. I can hear the sound, it's calling me on the banks of Penbrae.
Whoa, wonderful, wonderful tune. Keith, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Colin, good
Thanks,
to have you
Dwayne.
again. Dwayne Adacchio for CBMIC Backstage TV. We have been having a ball in Charlottetown for the 2019 ECMA Awards. I want to say thank you to ACOA, Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, DCBA, Destination Cape Breton, 902 Advertising Group, Breton Brewing Company, and Rock Pixels Photography for sponsoring this great event. We have a lot more music to come. If you can dial in again, CBMIC Backstage TV, we have more Cape Breton artists coming up. See you soon.